Hey everyone, it's me, Andrea, and thank you for joining Andy's Corner. Now, we finally finished the book of Job, and there were some amazing insights there about God. And I hope you guys learned something. And now, if you can remember, way before Job, we're going back to Genesis, and we're going to start with Genesis 12. But actually, I'm going to just read a little bit. Now, remember Abram. He came from Shem's line, who is Noah's son, Noah's youngest, I believe. Maybe not. I don't know. So it says from Shem to Abraham. When Shem was 100-year-old, he became the father of Arphaxad. And then Shelah, Eber, then Peleg, Peleg to Reu, Serug, Nahor. And then Nahor had Terah. Terah was 70 years old, and he became the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Now, the account of the Terah's family, Terah was the father of Abraham, Nahor, Haran. Haran was the father of Lot, but Haran died in Ur of the Chaldeans in the land of his birth. While his father Terah was still living, meanwhile, Abram, and Nahor both married. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah. Milcah and her sister Iscah were daughters of Nahor's brother Haran. Ugh, crazy. But Sarai was unable to become pregnant and had no children. Okay? Then it says, this is chapter 11. One day, Terah took his son Abram. He's not Abraham yet. I keep jumping the gun on that. His daughter-in-law Sarai, his son Abram's wife, and his grandson Lot, his son Haran's child, and moved away from Ur of the Chaldeans. He was headed for the land of Canaan, but they stopped at Haran and settled there. Terah lived for 205 years and died while still in Haran. Now, then we have Abraham. Abram. Ugh! And guess what? Abram is the father of fathers. Aside from God, is the ultimate father. But he is the patriarch of the Israelites. And we're going to read for chapters about his story. So here we go. Chapter 12. The Lord had said to Abram, leave your native country, your relatives, and your father's family, and go to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you and make you famous, and you will be a blessing to others. I will bless those who bless you and curse those who treat you with contempt. All the families on earth will be blessed through you. Now, that's pretty significant. God said, I will bless you. But his ultimate goal was not just to bless Abram and then end it there. His ultimate goal was to bless the whole world. It says, all the families on earth will be blessed through you. I mean, that's pretty amazing. And if you've read the Bible, you know that that is because Jesus comes from the line of Abraham eventually. Okay? So Abram departed as the Lord had instructed, and Lot, his nephew, went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he left Haran. He took his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, and all his wealth, his livestock, and all the people he had taken into his household at Haran, and headed for the land of Canaan. When they arrived in Canaan, Abram traveled through the land as far as Shechem. There he set up camp beside the oak of Moreh. At that time, the area was inhabited by Canaanites. Now, this is important because we learn later that the Israelites moved back into the land and they have to push out the Canaanites and take over this land. Then the Lord appeared to Abram and said, I will give you this land to your descendants. Which is true, he does. And Abram built an altar there and dedicated it to the Lord, who had appeared to him. After that, Abram traveled south and set up camp in the hill country, with Bethel to the west and Ai to the east. There he built another altar and dedicated it to the Lord, and he worshipped the Lord. Then Abram continued traveling south by stages toward the Negev. So the Negev is basically another word in their language for desert. So he's headed towards the desert. And what I like to see here is that, like, Abraham built an altar, he worshiped the Lord, and he moves. When God tells him to go, Abram goes. When God tells him to do something, Abram does it. And I love that. And that's how I want to be. If God tells me to do something, I want to do it. Give me the strength. So then we read, it says, at this time there was a severe famine that struck the land of Canaan, forcing Abram to go down to Egypt, where he lived as a foreigner. As he was approaching the border of Egypt, Abram said to his wife, Sarai, look, you are a beautiful woman. When the Egyptians see you, they will say, this is his wife. Let's kill him, then we can have her. So please tell them you are my sister. Then they will spare my life and treat me well because of their interest in you. Now, this is one of the parts where we see Abram's weakness. He has a fear of man, and sometimes he does things without asking God and saying, like, hey, should I do this? But also, God just gave him this huge promise. Why is he afraid of man? So clearly, although, okay, Sarai was his sister, but not like his sister, okay? It was like she was the daughter of another wife that his father had. So it was like his half sister. But he should have never lied to Pharaoh in that way because he was fearful and he was hiding the whole truth that Sarai was in fact his wife. And that he was doing out of his own fear, his own selfish sin. So here we go. Then it says, and sure enough, when Abram arrived in Egypt, everyone noticed Sarai's beauty. When the palace officials saw her, they sang her praises to Pharaoh, their king, and Sarai was taken into his palace. Ooh. Then Pharaoh gave Abram many gifts because of her: sheep, goats, cattle, male and female donkeys, male and female servants, and camels. Wow. Seems like Abram's getting blessed, but by Pharaoh and for the wrong reasons so far. But the Lord sent terrible plagues upon Pharaoh and his household because of Sarai, Abram's wife. So Pharaoh summoned Abram and accused him sharply, saying, what have you done to me? He demanded. Why didn't you tell me that she was your wife? Why did you say she is my sister? And allow me to take her as my wife. Now then, here is your wife. Take her and get out of here. Pharaoh ordered some of his men to escort them, and he sent Abram out of the country along with his wife and all his possessions. So he could have gotten in bigger trouble for lying to Pharaoh, but God has a plan for Abram. And because Abram didn't seek God's guidance in that situation, he got in trouble by Pharaoh, and actually God caused plagues to come upon Pharaoh's household because he took Abram's wife. So that's not okay, Abram. So what did you learn about God in this chapter, and what did you learn about man? I see about man that sometimes we still act out of fear, even knowing that God has called us to a higher calling. Even knowing that God had called Abram, he still acted out of fear instead of going to God and saying, hey, I'm about to enter Egypt. What should I do? I think God would be more than willing to talk to Abram and tell him, hey, do this so that Pharaoh doesn't steal your wife. But he didn't. He just was like, I'm going to lie, and then I'm going to do this. And then it backfired. And then he kicked him out. And we'll see that this doesn't happen just once. This happens multiple times. Not okay, Abram. But what do you see about God? I see that God is so precise in his promise, and he does follow through in his promises. And I also see and love that God is our protector. So poor Sarai was just his wife going along with the flow. She couldn't say, like, please don't send me to Pharaoh, or please don't take me. In those days, she just had to do what they said. But God came to her rescue, and God protected her. Like from all the country, God was like, I send a plague on Pharaoh's house. Boom. How amazing to know that God had done all these things to protect Sarai and their family unit, because God had mighty plans with this family. And so that's encouraging to us, friends, that sometimes we get discouraged, maybe when we face things that are bigger than us or scarier than us, but God will be your protector. And you will see he moves mountains to protect his children. Okay? So, stay tuned. Next episode, we will hear about Abram's nephew and the craziness that goes on there. All right? So, stay tuned. Bye.